Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
Flames raced through a home, leaving a mother and her son dead and 2 others injured.
And a terrifying ordeal when a man barricades himself and his young son inside a home.
And thieves steal 6 cars in one night from a California dealership, and it's all caught on camera. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jory Rand.
I'm Giovanna Lotta. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. In Altadena, a mother and son are dead after an explosion and fire at a home on the 2400 block of Holliston Avenue. 2 other people suffered injuries. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips tells us what firefighters believe set off the explosion.
What I see is, like you say, explosion, boom, you know what I mean, like that.
Tenant Philip Marin was in the backyard when he heard the explosion and saw the fire. Marin says 58-year-old Robert Kopp and his 86-year-old mother Betty were inside along with 2 other tenants.
He's screaming, help, but I tried to get in, but it's fire all over the place. I cannot go in.
The son was wheelchair bound, but the fire spread so quickly there was little anyone could do to help him or his mother. The 58-year-old and 86-year-old died in the fire. 2 other tenants inside the home were injured and taken to the hospital.
Well, we grew up in the 60s and went to high school together, junior high school together, elementary school together here in Altadena. You know, we used to play all the time and, you know, just like what typical kids do then. Very upbeat family.
Neighbors say the family has lived here for a while and couldn't believe it was that house that jolted the neighborhood about 10 p.m. last night.
I thought it was an earthquake. That's how violent the explosion was. And I have a 2-story house. It's several hundred feet away, and it just shook violently.
Authorities believe the elderly woman who uses an oxygen tank lit a cigarette and started the fire, causing the tank to explode. In Altadena, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Darsha, thank you. A man is in custody tonight following a tense standoff with police in which he barricaded himself and his 6-year-old son in a Hyde Park home. This all happened on the 5800 block of 8th Avenue. It all began around 9 this morning when the man ran from officers investigating a vandalism report. The man claimed he was armed and was willing to use his weapon. Hours later, he released his son, who was pulled away from the scene by police. A SWAT team surrounded the house and negotiations went on until 4 o'clock this afternoon when the man finally gave up.
He was a doting father, is a doting father. That's why it's kind of shocking that, you know, that he would take him hostage.
We never were able to establish whether or not he had a weapon. We were completely prepared for him to come out being resistant without a weapon, to be able to take him into custody without using deadly force.
That man now faces charges of child endangerment.
An injured mountain biker is airlifted to safety after crashing down a steep trail in Mandeville Canyon. Authorities say the 23-year-old man injured his leg and neck. He was mountain biking with 2 friends. The friends say they tried to carry him down the hill, but he could no longer be moved. That's when rescuers called in the helicopter. There's no word on the condition of the mountain biker.
You know, there was a bouquet of flowers at our front desk today, and there's no question who those are for today.
Those weren't for me.
Well, they were for you.
No.
No, they weren't. They were for the guy bringing this awesome weather. Danny.
Oh, no. I usually get weeds. And even those ones are old.
What kind of weeds? Just kidding.
Giovanna, the flowers are yours. We'll get them for you. Hey, for us, we've got sunshine all around. Now, here's a great shot. Laguna Beach, live HD. Look at that. You can see barely that first hit of the marine layer trying to move in on the coastal spots, and that'll serve to cool us down a little bit, but not by much. Inland we go now to our Burbank camera, live HD. The valley looking pretty clear. Skies are going to be a very nice, clear place tonight. Now, here's temps right now. We're still so comfortable. 71 right now in Ontario, 67 Riverside, 75 at Hemet, 65 Santa Ana. The cooling on the coast happening already. We're showing a 64 in Long Beach, a 60 in Santa Monica, 60 for Oxnard as well. And tonight, a few clouds, not much, mostly clear, 53 the overnight low. But then we'll see the changes in our weather. But then wait to see what happens next week. And I'll tell you about that with a 7-day in just a bit. I'm going to go sniff my flowers now. Giovanna and Jory, all yours.
Okay, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
All right. They are pretty flowers. A very special ceremony for a Newport Beach lifeguard killed in the line of duty. Today, the city dedicated the lifeguard headquarters in his name. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride has the story.
At the Newport Beach Lifeguard headquarters, a plaque now hangs in honor of Ben Carlson. The 32-year-old was the first lifeguard in Newport Beach to die in the line of duty.
He was one of the best. He did it. He made it. Served the city for 15 years.
On July 6, 2014, the waves were up to 12 feet high. Carlson jumped in to rescue a swimmer in distress. The swimmer survived, but Carlson did not make it back to shore. A week later, about 1,000 people attended a memorial, paddling out to pay their respects. Carlson's family is proud of their son's sacrifice.
Ben lived 32 years of a well-lived life, and he probably wasn't even thinking about his legacy at that point. But like all these other guards, he dove into the water for somebody that was in trouble. It can be very dangerous, and you just never know what can happen.
Carlson was a strong swimmer, a surfer, and a junior lifeguard instructor. The city council had debated on how best to honor Carlson in the most meaningful way.
It should be something lasting and permanent. It should have a significant presence. It should be symbolic, and it should be a reminder of ocean safety.
Carlson's fellow lifeguards and city officials were on hand for the ceremony, along with his family. The Carlsons are appreciative of how the community united after Ben's loss. It's a tragedy they hope the city never has to experience again.
We just hope that as a result of this, people will look at lifeguards a little bit differently. And when they say, hey, it's time to get out of the water, it's not because they're killing fun, it's because they're really trying to keep people safe.
In Newport Beach, Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Police say a drunk driver is to blame for a deadly crash in Highland Park last night. They say a 24-year-old in a 2015 Chevy Camaro was speeding in the 4600 block of Marmion Way. He then crossed into oncoming lanes and crashed head-on into a Hyundai Elantra. The driver of the Elantra, a 68-year-old Los Angeles man, died at the scene. Police arrested the alleged drunk driver. They say he had been going at least 80 miles an hour just prior to the crash.
An investigation is underway following a deadly vehicle-to-vehicle shooting in Athens. It happened on Figueroa Street near El Segundo Boulevard last night. Police believe the shootout between an SUV and a car was gang-related. Authorities say people in both vehicles exchanged gunfire. One passenger was killed. Another man sitting in a parked car was hit by a stray bullet. He was rushed to a hospital in stable condition. A third victim was found wounded nearby. It's still unclear, though, if that 22-year-old man is a suspect or a victim in the shooting. Police are still trying to locate the other vehicle involved.
In Alabama, the Ku Klux Klan left thousands of flyers on doorsteps in Selma today as thousands of people commemorated the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday and the march that paved the way for equal voting rights. KKK leaders say they have distributed about 4,000 flyers throughout Selma and Montgomery in the past 2 weeks. They say the goal is to attract new members and remind everyone the KKK still exists. Meanwhile, as reporter Ryan Noble shows us, crowds gathered in Selma to walk across the historic Edmund Pettus Bridge.
The normally sleepy town of Selma, Alabama is alive this weekend. On the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, Pastor Ronald Smith is doing his part to keep the work of the Selma marchers alive.
I don't want people to come and just get a selfie or a Photoshop and then leave. I really want them to be enlightened.
All weekend long, people from around the world made their way across the historic Edmund Pettus Bridge, their homage to history. There are concerts, food, and a festival-like atmosphere, but in understanding, the work is not done.
And I thought it was our duty to just come out and represent those who have died for us.
Tabitha Houston and her son Miles Greer were among them. Miles is only in 3rd grade, but is learning the lesson of Selma. A lesson Miles boils down pretty simply.
Be nice to people.
And the work that needs to be done is easily seen on the streets of Selma. Boarded up homes like this, just a few hundred feet away from the historic Brown Chapel AME Church. 60% of children in Selma live below the poverty line. That is work Pastor Smith is busy with every single day.
So our responsibility now is to actually get them to those places so that they can actually have access to the resources.
A challenge issued 50 years ago this weekend to reach a goal civil rights leaders promise they will continue to work toward. In Selma, I'm Ryan Nobles reporting.
Turning now to the fight against ISIS, it appears Iraqi forces and Shiite militias managed to cut supply lines to the terror group as they advance towards the northern city of Tikrit today. Video recorded by a freelance cameraman reportedly shows Iraqi soldiers firing machine guns toward ISIS positions on the outskirts of Tikrit. You can see thick smoke coming up from an area where troops say they pounded militant hideouts. Retaking Tikrit would help Iraqi forces secure a major supply link for any future operation to seize the city of Mosul. Both cities were taken last year during the militants' push across northern Iraq.
2 Australian teens are in custody after attempting to join ISIS. Australian authorities say the 16 and 17-year-olds were stopped on Friday at the airport in Sydney after customs officers became suspicious and searched their luggage. Local media there is reporting that the teens are brothers and intended to join the militant Islamic State group. Federal police say they were handed over to their parents while an investigation continues.
These were 2 misguided young Australians born and bred, went to school here, grew up here, imbibed our values, and yet it seems they had succumbed to the lure of the death cult and they were on the verge of doing something terrible and dangerous. So I'm pleased that they've been stopped.
Authorities say the teenagers were trying to get to Syria. They call ISIS a problem not just in the Middle East, but across the world, targeting susceptible young people over the internet, like the 2 boys who were stopped.
Meanwhile, the Peace Corps is temporarily suspending its program in Jordan because of the current environment in the Middle East. 37 volunteers had been working with local communities on youth development, but they have been since flown out of the country. The agency says the fight against ISIS in neighboring Iraq and Syria is to blame for the current unrest. The Peace Corps hopes they can return soon to Jordan.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, it's Jaws come to life. A local man has a run-in with a great white shark. We have the video, not quite like Jaws.
It's still scary, though. And a baby found alive 14 hours after the car she was in plunges into a river. An update on the little girl's condition and how rescue crews were able to find her.
Plus, a bizarre sight in London. A man is arrested after spending hours on the roof of the British Parliament building.
A beloved pet is rescued from the icy waters of the Charles River in Wellesley, Massachusetts. The 8-year-old golden doodle named Cooper, was trapped overnight on a small outpost 40 feet into the river. A bystander, he is too cute. So glad a bystander spotted Cooper this morning. Firefighters in waterproof suits waded into the river and rescued the shivering and frightened dog. The owner says he was hiking with his dog yesterday when it became spooked, ran off, and wound up in the river.
Oh, back at home, everyone and everything is enjoying the weekend sunshine, it seems. But check this out. Viewer Mike Duran from swellmagnet.com captured this amazing video of what he believes is a great white shark while paddleboarding off Manhattan Beach yesterday. He sent it to us using the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. You can see the shark just swim by. It's right there, not hurting anyone, but at one point Mike falls in. He quickly gets back on the board. You can bet for a moment he wished he had a bigger paddleboard, perhaps.
You're going to need a bigger board.
There are a lot of baby great whites in Manhattan Beach.
Are there?
Yeah, very.
So you think that was a great white there?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying.
Would you have jumped out of the water just quick, just to play it safe?
I would have not gone into the water.
Right. Much less had a camera rolling, you know.
That's right.
Jeez. But a lot of folks are in the water today.
Yeah.
You know, was that one of those kind of days where just sunshine all around, especially at the beaches, near 80 degrees many days, and not to worry, there's more of those coming. After a little break. Let's go outside right now and see a Sunday night looks over Southern California. We got it going with our live HD camera to the Irvine Spectrum in Orange County. Looking good tonight. Clear skies for the most part. Just a few clouds starting to make their way in tonight, and that's a part of what's going to change our weather. To downtown LA we go, where the skies are pretty clear right now on a early Sunday evening. 65 degrees our temp. Calm winds and relative humidity at 68%. Today, 70 is the average temp. We got to 78 downtown, so still well above the normal. And tonight, what a great sunset. 6:55 over the area. We're showing sunrise tomorrow at 7:12. Yes, the numbers are right. You've moved your clock forward, right? Okay, good. Here we are, looking at how clear things are over the West Coast. It's that strong ridge of high pressure that's over the area. We'll see a low try to move in a little bit and bring us some onshore flow. That's going to cool things down somewhat on the coast especially, and we'll see things really start to warm up again by next weekend as that low kind of moves out. The high pressure ridge builds right back in. Here's our numbers tonight. Down to 50 in Covina, 52 in Malibu, 54 in Fillmore, and 35 kind of cold in Lancaster. Then tomorrow, a lot of sunshine inland, 84 for Santa Clarita, but the coastal numbers cooler because of that marine layer moving in. 69 for Malibu, 70 for Redondo Beach, 70 for Huntington Beach as well, but Inland Empire up to 81 in San Bernardino, Apple Valley to 76. We look ahead now. 7-day powered by AccuWeather. Watch this. Morning clouds will be there for the next couple of days, keeping temps still sunny, but in the afternoon after the clouds move out. Coolest day of Wednesday, 76, still well above that 70 average temp. But then here comes the heat building back up by Thursday, Friday, into the weekend. We get back up to the 80s, as much as 87 by Saturday afternoon. Our valleys and Inland Empire numbers will start out morning clouds, but then afternoon sunshine, so 80s will be the numbers Monday and Tuesday. Then a little less heat, but still 78, not bad at all for Wednesday, the coolest day of the week, as it now warms up again into the weekend to 84. And then near 90 degrees as we head into Saturday and Sunday, mid to upper 80s there. For the beaches, there's going to be a different story. Clouds, even some fog tomorrow morning, only 69 for the afternoon high. Low 70s Tuesday and Wednesday with that marine layer in place. And then the marine layer is gone. Thursday, Friday into the weekend, numbers jump up again to the 80s on the coast by the weekend. Our mountain spots will be gorgeous through the week. Sunshine for the most part, 60s, and a couple of spots we're going to show 58 for Wednesday. Overnight numbers are on the cold side, 20s and 30s there, but sunny all the way through and into the weekend. The high desert areas, warm and sunny skies. We're talking about 79, 78 for the highs. A little dip of numbers down to 74 on Wednesday, but as we head towards Friday and into the weekend, right back up again into the 80s for everyone next weekend with a little breezy condition through the high deserts. Otherwise, though, a lot of sunshine. Just a little break at the beaches tomorrow. But after that, pretty good again.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, guys.
A dramatic rescue in Utah where a baby was found inside a car that plunged into the water. She was found alive several hours after the accident. As ABC's Clayton Sandell reports tonight, she is fighting for her life.
This 18-month-old baby girl might not be alive tonight if not for a chance encounter.
There was a fisherman that came to fish along the river and noticed a vehicle in the river, called 911.
This is the car he saw, and when police and paramedics arrived, they discovered the driver, 25-year-old Lynn Grossbeck, had died.
The vehicle is submerged. RP states there is one person in the vehicle. They don't appear to be moving.
Police believe Groesbeck and her daughter were on their way home late Friday night when their car careened off this road in Spanish Fork, Utah. The crash not discovered for 14 hours. But miraculously, the baby was alive when rescuers got there, surviving not only the crash, but frigid temperatures and water rushing through the car. The conditions so extreme, 3 police officers and 4 firefighters went to the hospital with hypothermia.
Grabbed the baby in my arm, raised its head up out of the water as I tried to release the seatbelt.
Tonight, that baby girl is in critical but stable condition, still in the hospital, still fighting. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Denver.
A dramatic scene in the ER of a hospital in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, not with a patient, but with a car. Early this morning, a car approaching Broward Health Imperial Point Hospital crashed right through the ambulance entrance. No one was injured, and there isn't any structural damage to the hospital, but ambulances had to be directed to an alternate emergency entrance, but everything else continued as normal. There's no word exactly what led to the crash.
Police in London have arrested a man for climbing onto the roof of the British Parliament building. Take a look. The 23-year-old apparently spent the night on top of the Palace of Westminster. He's been charged with criminal damage and trespassing on a protected site and is due to appear in court tomorrow. The roof of the palace along the River Thames has long served as a favorite location for stunts by activists. No word on the motive for this latest stunt.
An exceptional discovery in France. A 2,500-year-old lavish tomb and chariot of an ancient Celtic prince have been unearthed. That tomb was filled with goods, including gorgeous pottery and a gold-tipped drinking vessel. The giant jug was decorated with images of the Greek god of wine and revelry. The site, just south of Paris, served as an ancient burial place for centuries, and the new finds are evidence of the exchanges that happened between the Mediterranean and the Celts.
Up next, California car dealerships targeted in a crime spree.
Thieves steal at least 6 cars, and it's all caught on tape. Why the dealership owners think this was a planned attack.
And it's the announcement techies have been waiting for, the Apple smartwatch. It's expected to make its debut tomorrow, but we have a preview right after the break.
Some brazen bandits target several used car dealerships in the Bay Area, and it's all caught on camera. Police say beginning Thursday night, 7 young men hit 4 area dealerships and drove away in at least 6 stolen cars. The owner of 2 of those targeted says the crooks knew what they were doing.
They're breaking into our office and trying to find any keys we have laying around, hoping that it goes to one of the cars that we have parked out in front so they can drive off with it.
In the meantime, he has taped signs into his windows letting potential thieves know the keys are not stored in the office. Authorities are now combing through surveillance video, hoping to catch the 7 crooks responsible.
Full steam ahead, that's the word from electric car maker Tesla in response to several reports that construction on their new plant has stopped. According to a company spokesman, things are right on schedule for the $5 billion factory in Nevada. Tesla went on to deny claims that, quote, design changes were responsible for the reported delay. Nevada won a high-stakes battle for the factory, which will mass-produce cheaper batteries for Tesla's next line of more affordable electric cars. Apple's highly anticipated smartwatch is expected to debut tomorrow at a media event in San Francisco. Industry trackers say the Apple Watch is a wrist-worn computer that's being billed as the must-have accessory of the future. It will not only sync up with the user's iPhone, but has a range of apps and sensors of its own, too. The company announced its plans for Apple Watch last year and has said it would begin shipping in April.
Yeah, I read a really interesting article on the watch, and it says it's going to put people's phones back in their pocket. So
wow. We won't need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to really kind of change how we use technology and smartphones, and looking forward to seeing how that changes.
Yeah,
we are updating our top stories at 7:30, including the latest on a fatal fire in Altadena.
And police need your help finding a missing service dog in Montebello. The details ahead.
An intricate rescue in Oceanside after this guy got himself stuck between 2 storage containers. Still looks pretty happy how they were able to get him out.
And trouble on the tracks. A film director goes on trial for a tragedy behind the scenes. More on this case after the break.
Weren't loud enough to wake her, but this is... Every child loves the Easter Bunny, except for every child we've ever seen.
live from ABC7. This is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, a mother and son are dead after an explosion and fire in Altadena. I'm Giovanna Lotta.
I'm Jory Rand. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7:30 p.m. A tenant says 58-year-old Robert Kopp, who was wheelchair-bound, and his 86-year-old mother, Betty, died in the fire. 2 others were injured. Authorities believe the elderly woman, who uses an oxygen tank, lit a cigarette and started the fire, causing that tank to explode. A 5th person inside the home escaped without injury.
In Hyde Park, an hours-long standoff ends with a suspect in custody. Officers were investigating a vandalism report when the man barricaded himself in a home this morning with his 6-year-old son along the 5800 block of 8th Avenue. He claimed he was armed. After hours, he released his son and a SWAT team surrounded the home. The suspect finally gave up around 4 o'clock this afternoon and now faces child endangerment charges.
A man is dead following a fiery car crash overnight in Glendale. The CHP says the 30-year-old driver of a Cadillac was going too fast while attempting the right turn from the southbound 2 freeway to the west 134. He lost control, struck a guardrail, then continued up a dirt embankment, hitting a concrete abutment. The car then burst into flames with a man inside. No one else was in the car. No word yet on the identity of the driver.
A 55-year-old man is now in custody in connection with a hit-and-run that killed a 4-year-old Friday night. Shant Badlian turned himself in at the Glendale Police Headquarters last night. It happened shortly before loved ones held a vigil to remember Violetta Kachaturian. The 4-year-old girl apparently dashed in front of Badlian's car and was struck. The accident is still under investigation. Badlian has only been charged with a hit-and-run and is not facing more serious charges for the accident at this time.
A search is underway in Montebello for a missing service dog. This female Australian Terrier has been with her owner since its birth. She went missing exactly 1 week ago and was last seen at the corner of North Greenwood and Harding Avenues. The dog wears a pink collar with ID tags attached by a pink heart-shaped clip. She is microchipped, and the shelters have been notified in the area. If you spot her, you are asked to call Montebello Police. And talk about a tight squeeze. Man's best friend found himself in quite a predicament at an elementary school in Oceanside. A caller reported their dog Spike got stuck between some metal storage containers at the school. His owners and school officials couldn't free him, so they called the fire department. Firefighters were going to use the jaws of life to free Spike, but were able to move the containers just a few inches so the dog could squeeze his way out, and that he did, wagging his tail on the way.
So good he got out. A scare at a high-rise apartment building in Koreatown when a fire broke out today. Firefighters rushed to the 600 block of Irolo Street just before 7 this morning. They say they found heavy smoke on the 3rd floor, but that the fire was confined to a balcony. It only took a little more than 10 minutes to put out the flames. Residents of the 20-story building sheltered in place. No one was hurt. The cause of the fire is now under investigation. Firefighters say working smoke detectors made a big difference.
Well, they say dog is man's best friend, but everybody's best friend is the weatherman when you have weather like this outside. So, buddy, pal, Danny.
Well, I'm glad to be your
looking
friend.
Looking good right now.
Thank you, buddy. And Giovanna, here's the story. We've got ourselves such a gorgeous weekend. We're going to change things up a little bit, but not too much. Right now, we're looking at the LAX, and there a little hint of the marine layer starting to make its way in tonight and into tomorrow morning to serve to drop our temps down a little bit more. And then this great shot, our Disneyland camera at California Adventure with a great shot of Mickey smiling back at us because Mickey was happy. It was a sunny day today down there at the happiest place on earth. And the temps over the area now cooling down a bit, but still so nice, almost summer-ish. 71 right now in Ontario, a cooler 65 in Fullerton and Santa Ana, with Hemet showing a 74, Temecula at 73 as well. But cool and a little cloudier on the coast. Right now it's 60 degrees in Santa Monica out at the pier, 60 for Oxnard as well, 60 up in Santa Barbara too. Now, we're going to see some changes coming our way, but if you want to make plans for next weekend, especially at the beach, I'll tell you about that when I come back with the 7-day forecast in just a bit. Giovanna and Jory, go ahead.
Thank you, Danny. Protesters marched through the streets of Madison, Wisconsin today, where an officer shot and killed an unarmed teen on Friday night. Police say 19-year-old Tony Robinson attacked an officer who was responding to a disturbance call. The officer then shot Robinson, who later died at a hospital. According to public records, Robinson had a criminal history. The officer has been identified as 12-year Department veteran Matt Kenny. He's on paid administrative leave as the investigation continues.
The mayor of Ferguson, Missouri is speaking out following the Department of Justice finding that the mostly white police force there showed a pattern of discrimination against blacks, including racist emails.
These emails, absolutely, we will not tolerate in this community. They showed some bias that is intolerable, and those are things that we acted on immediately. But those are things that, you know, as the mayor or as a city council, we don't monitor on a daily basis everyone's emails.
Last week, the mayor announced his city's court clerk had been fired and 2 police officers had resigned after allegedly sending vulgar racist emails.
Tomorrow, a movie director goes on trial for a tragedy behind the scenes. He and 2 others are charged with involuntary manslaughter in the death of a young crew member on the very first day of production a year ago. ABC's Gloria Riviera has the story.
More than a year after a tragedy on these Georgia tracks, a jury will decide if Sarah Jones' death on the set of Midnight Rider was a horrible accident or crime. This video capturing the final moments as the train charged towards the 27-year-old camera assistant and crew filming on the tracks without permission.
All I know, I heard and I saw the train, and you just immediately started running.
Director Randall Miller, along with his wife and executive producer, are charged with involuntary manslaughter and criminal trespassing. If convicted, they face up to 11 years in prison. The investigation revealing that CSX Transportation, who owns the bridge, twice denied the film permission to shoot. Miller testified in a civil suit last year that securing permission was not his responsibility.
Unfortunately, that's not my job.
Do you know where anybody was down that track before that train accident occurred?
Again, it's not my job.
You didn't ask CSX how many trains were coming down that trestle, did you?
Again, that's not my job.
Miller has been accused in the past of reckless behavior on set. In a joint statement with his wife saying, "We would never knowingly or intentionally put anybody's safety at risk."
If it can be proven that it rises to the level of a criminal act, then people may be going to prison.
In the wake of Sarah's death, many in the film industry have called for greater safety on movie sets. Her friends and family simply want justice.
The people who made poor choices that day need to be held fully accountable.
Gloria Riviera, ABC News, Washington.
In Russia, a judge has charged 2 men with killing political opposition leader Boris Nemtsov. Russian news is reporting that one of the men has admitted to his part in the crime. The other suspect has denied guilt. 3 other suspects seen here in court today remain behind bars pending a decision on whether charges will be filed against them. Under Russian law, officials have 10 days to charge the men. Nemtsov, a vocal critic of President Vladimir Putin, was fatally shot last month near the Kremlin. It happened just days before a planned anti-Putin demonstration.
The first detailed report into the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 has been made public 1 year after it vanished in the Indian Ocean. The report reveals that the battery on the plane's underwater locator beacon expired more than a year before the plane disappeared and should have been replaced, but the battery still worked and the beacon was functioning properly. Everything else was found to be normal and there was no sign of engine trouble or bad weather. Meantime, family members of the 239 people on board the plane gathered to mark the anniversary in Kuala Lumpur, where the flight departed a year ago today, and Beijing, where it was headed. They're asking for the search to continue. So far, no trace of the plane has been found.
Breaking news out of Anaheim, where there's been a deadly officer-involved shooting. We have the details.
And men and women from around the world are marking International Women's Day. We'll show you how the day is being honored here in Southern California.
And later, marking the Navy Reserve's centennial celebration. We'll take you to San Pedro for a special ceremony attended by veterans and local dignitaries alike. Breaking news out of Anaheim, where a suspect is dead after an officer-involved shooting. This is a picture of the scene from Eyewitness News viewer Joel Reyes. He sent this to us using the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. Authorities say a woman stabbed someone at a local laundromat near Ball Road and Euclid in Anaheim. Police found the woman a short time later at a nearby apartment complex where she was shot and killed. The suspect died at the hospital. We will bring you the latest information on this story as it becomes available.
Hundreds of women took to the streets today to make their voices heard in the name of women's rights. Some 1,500 people took part in the march through downtown LA as part of International Women's Day. The group spoke out for women's issues and rights in the U.S. and all around the world, specifically against attacks on women. Organizers tell us there's plenty of ways to get involved.
Whether it's fighting against justification, against poverty wages, if you want to join a firm, or fighting against militarism, or fighting against trafficking of women and children, and for immigrant women's rights, now's the time.
Participants told us they firmly believe that a woman's place is at the head of the struggle.
Ceremonies were held on board the USS Iowa in San Pedro today, honoring the centennial celebration of the U.S. Naval Reserve. Navy officials were there for the event, along with members of the LA City Fire Department and Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti himself, a former member of the active U.S. Naval Reserve.
Everybody who has answered the call to wear this nation's uniform, every single one of us who has made the sacrifices to family, to friends, to community, and to country, understand what this means.
The mayor noted many prominent military officers began their careers in the ranks of the Naval Reserve.
It is a super bet from two superheroes.
A lot of superheroes still to come. A pair of actors make good on a Super Bowl bet. We'll tell you how Captain America and Star-Lord spent their weekend.
Plus, did you hear the buzz? See how one of nature's smallest creatures wielded serious power at an Angel game today. Sports coming up.
Homecoming that's actually worth getting worked up about.
We got a special surprise for one of our students. So everybody look towards the door. We're going to pass the door.
You know, it's hard being a teen. In fact, one of the hardest parts of being a teen is adults always talking about how hard it is being a teen. It's almost enough to make them look up from their phones and roll their eyes. Speaking of phones, check out some teens who wish they'd just stayed on theirs.
They must have practiced this on a full-sized horse. They'd prefer thunderous applause to thunderous thunder. There's a big difference between a fence and a gate. She goes from pull-ups to fall downs. This handrail catches something other than his hand.
Did you hit?
They were going to raise the roof. Not quite.
Right now, an American spacecraft is currently orbiting around a world so different, scientists have struggled to classify it. Ceres is considered a dwarf planet, the largest object in the asteroid belt.
Now scientists are on the verge of uncovering its mysteries. Jonathan Mann reports.
It's a new dawn on a dwarf planet, as in Dawn, the NASA spacecraft, which began orbiting the dwarf planet Ceres on Friday.
0 and liftoff of the Delta II rocket with Dawn.
Launched in 2007, it's the culmination of an 8-year, 310 million-mile journey.
I am just delighted that Dawn is now right on the doorstep of Ceres.
Discovered in 1801, Ceres lies in our solar system's main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. For many years, it was classified as a planet, then demoted to an asteroid, and recently reclassified as a dwarf planet. Early images captured by Dawn last month have scientists both excited and puzzled, like these two bright spots that show up on Ceres' surface.
Ceres has really surprised us.
NASA scientists say the bright spots could be reflections from ice, salt, or from water vapor emissions. They believe the dwarf planet may even have an atmosphere. Dawn will now circle Ceres for 16 months, studying its structure and looking for answers. But scientists will have to wait a little longer to really get started.
We're now on the dark side, so we're going to have a blackout for about the next month until we get back over towards the lit side of the body. But then the floodgates are really going to open when we get to our first science orbit in late April.
NASA hopes that's when they can begin to solve the many mysteries of Ceres.
And that was Jonathan Mann reporting. Good stuff.
Yeah, how cool is that? Yeah. Seriously.
So I'm thinking all the Ceresians are looking down and going, we want to move down there.
They're currently orbiting something around us.
That's what
right.
it is.
Scoping out Southern
wow,
California.
There's that California place, Southern California. Let's go there in their own little Ceresian language, of course. Before we get into Star Wars, let's go outside. Take a look at things over Southern California, looking pretty good here on our planet. How about this? Our live HD camera swinging over to Long Beach. Clear skies there right now. We could see a few clouds on some coastal spots before the night and morning hours are done. Our downtown LA skyline clear as well. Just been a gorgeous weekend. And the temp still very nice. 65 degrees downtown right now with 68% relative humidity and a barometer holding steady at 29.94. And here's why. A ridge of high pressure dominating our weather the last few days with its offshore flow, warm, dry conditions. We look to Monday and Tuesday. That high breaks down a bit, allows a little more of an onshore flow to happen on the beach areas especially. You could see some dense fog during the morning hours, and then the clouds clear out. Afternoons will be pretty sunny still. But even more so as we head towards middle of the week and then towards the weekend, as after that little onshore flow ceases, we now get this high pressure ridge building back in again. Stronger for next weekend. So once again, next weekend, numbers getting up to the 80s at the beaches. That's some good weather for you, Ceresians and otherwise. Low tonight down to 53 in Pasadena, a cold 35 in Lancaster. Then tomorrow, cooler on the coast. Again, with those clouds and the fog I mentioned, only 69 for Malibu, but inland, sunshine and 81 in Pasadena, to 81 for San Bernardino as well. And Riverside goes to 80 degrees with Palm Springs, up to 87 tomorrow. Now, the 7-day Power Back AccuWeather showing you the clouds, morning clouds, and then afternoon sunshine. Still up in the upper 70s for the highs for LA Metro and Orange County. The coolest day is still 76 on Wednesday. Here comes the heat. Thursday into the weekend, up to 86, then to 87 by Saturday. Now, for the valleys in the Inland Empire, there too a few morning clouds, but then afternoon sunshine, temps in the 80s. Still a great day tomorrow. Now, we'll see a little less heat, but still 78, a nice number. But by Thursday and Friday, back up to the 80s and even pushing 90 degrees by Saturday of next weekend. Our beach areas are going to be on the cloudy, foggy side tomorrow in the next few days, keeping temps in the upper 60s, low 70s, but then just in time for the weekend, back up to 76 and then to the 80s by Saturday on the coast. Our mountain spots will be sunny and clear most of the week with highs in that 60s range. The coolest day Wednesday, a high of 58, still under mostly sunny skies, but the nighttime temps pretty cold, 20s and low 30s there. The high desert, warm, sunny days to start the week, upper 70s there. A little drop in numbers to 74 on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday roll in. The winds kick up a little bit, and the temperatures rise up back to the 80s to 81 to even 82 by Saturday. So Planet Earth, enjoy our weather. There you go, right?
We will. This Earthling will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was raining yesterday in Seattle, but two real-life superheroes surely brightened the day of kids at Seattle Children's Hospital. Marvel Universe stars Chris Evans and Chris Pratt paid a visit there to spend time with patients. Making good on his Super Bowl bet with Pratt, Evans was fully decked out in his Captain America uniform, shield and all. Pratt did the same as his character Star-Lord last month. Later, Evans tweeted, "Met some true superheroes, feeling inspired, blessed, touched. Thank you with all my heart."
Star-Lord, man.
Love them both.
Good stuff. Time to talk sports. Mercifully, at 29 games under 500, the 2015 Lakers will soon be out of their misery. Not so much for their fans, who will have to wear this failed season all summer long, but they're not there yet. Right now, Mavs and Lakers tied at the half, 44 apiece. CP3 and the Clips in Oakland today, taking on the best in the West in Golden State. Klay Thompson had a day. The former Washington State Cougar had 21 points in just 30 minutes today. Warriors by 8 at the break. One of the few bright spots for the good guys is J.J. Redick. He had 18 today, and this layup cuts the Warriors' lead to 7. But on a day Steph Curry proved he is mortal with just 12 points, it was Draymond Green who was hot. Game-high 23. One of 3 Warriors with at least 20. Sean Livingston was another. Remember, he had that gruesome leg injury suffered while playing for the Clips. Today he rolled up 21 on his former team, and the Warriors paced the Clippers 106-98. Baseball now. Bees! Bees! They're hungry, and they hurt. Yeah, well, that swarm delayed the start of today's Angels game. I tried to channel my inner Tommy Boy. It didn't work. No, when you're not winning. Yeah. Delayed the game 10 minutes. They were back in the 4th. Game was delayed again. They had to call a local beekeeper to get rid of the bees. After a 20-minute delay this time, the bees finally buzzed off. Angels led 4-2 in the 9th. Bullpen blows it again. They fall 6-4. As for the Dodgers, home to the Brewers today. Great finish to this game. Tied at 3 in the 9th. 2012 first-round pick Corey Seager sends one deep to center field, and it falls in. In comes the winning run. Dodgers rally to beat the Brewers. They take it 4-3. On to Florida. Do you remember when Rory McIlroy tossed his 3-iron into the lake on Friday? Well, today Donald Trump asked a scuba diver to retrieve the club. And they are playing on the Trump property after all. And Donald gave Rory the club back on the range. All right. Meantime, Dustin Johnson took control of the tournament today when he rolled in the short birdie on 15. That moves into 8 under par. Third-round leader J.B. Holmes could have sent this to a playoff with a birdie on 18, but his putt just misses. Johnson enjoyed the win and a post-game greeting from fiancée Paulina Gretzky and his 2-month-old son Tatum. And that's sports.
Aww. New tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, a local business targeted by ISIS, the website hack attack, and the other businesses around the country that are being affected. Hitting the runway while packing? The story behind a firearms fashion show. Those stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 newscast. That's Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Well, coming up here on LA56, we'll tell you what movie topped the box office this weekend.
Plus, a local event that's truly for the dogs. We'll take you to this year's Woodstock and show you the fun being had by dogs and dog lovers alike.
It was a slow weekend at the box office. Attendance was down 38% from this weekend last year.
Even when you put a gun, you have to be cool like this. Boom! And you try. No, I can't shoot people. What?
That's Chappie, a hyper-intelligent police android. Apparently, he wasn't enough to motivate audiences. It earned only a modest $13.3 million to lead the way. And an even more dismal debut, Vince Vaughn's comedy Unfinished Business opened at number 10 to $4.8 million in estimated earnings. Focus, the second-best Marigold Hotel, Kingsman, The Secret Service, and the SpongeBob movie round out the top 5.
Beverly Hills today was the scene of the annual dog festival known as Woofstock 90210. There was a pet parade including Old English sheepdogs, also food trucks and live entertainment, along with some practical advice for pet owners. A major goal of this event is to encourage pet adoption.
Absolutely. Adopt, don't buy. We've got a house full of rescues at home.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yes, you do. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7 here on LA56. Watch us on ABC7 at 11.
LA56 Weekend Theater is up next. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here on LA56 and 11 on ABC7.